Why did it work this time? Okay, you know what? We're just gonna roll with that. All right, entire screen. There we go. View slideshow. All right. Okay. Why did this just hate us? I need to like.
Nice. Well, I'm not sure about the board or not.
It was the Astro dude made with like Dylan in them, but because of like how I guess Google Slides work, whenever you put like a GIF in it just really. It does like you know like whenever you go in like videos, it has like linear versus on like nearest neighbor. Yeah. It's like on linear. I don't want to switch it to like nearest neighbor. So it was kind of weird. Also, the lighting's weird, but I'm not sure why these projectors decide they don't want to work anymore as well.
We never got one. We can just turn around.
Is the live stream working?
As far as I can tell. So, I guess otherwise I'll just go ahead and get started so we don't lose. Oh wait.
Oh, wait a minute. Grace, but another. It's fine. Maybe.
I mean,
Next page just in. I need that whole video.
why do these things hate us? All right, we might just have to roll with the projector behind you guys.
Give the university a bit more money. And then you
Don't
can
they have enough money already?
They're starving right now.
I'm sure.
For university, that 16K, like that's so little.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and get started. So, for the overview, so of course, we have to go over first what even is 2D animation, which you guys probably, of course, can probably guess. It's maybe like some sort of like in 2D images are able to get them going in a certain sequence, so it actually looks like some sort of movement or, I guess, just video to say. So, you of course know this from all sorts of different games. The ones shown behind there, like Sonic and Mario and all that.
Sonic Mania, Mario Flash game, and some Square JRPG from the 90s.
Yeah. Oh, that was just a random picture I found just to put there. And then, well, those are the examples. So how can we use it in game development? It's sort of pretty easy to tell. It's to give actual, I guess to say flavors of the sorts of games you're making. Like theoretically, you could just have a bunch of PNGs floating around in your games, and you could potentially make that fun, but it's a little difficult. So usually it's easier to do actual animations so people can see a lot more feedback from what they're doing. And plus, if you're trying to do anything that's realistic at all, that's kind of a bit hard about animation. All right. So the first thing we'll go ahead and do is a little Pixar animation tutorial. So I'll go ahead and use Pascal, but feel free to use whatever you want. Like I personally would use more of a thing called like Pixel Art Online most of the time, but that one has ads and that feels kind of weird to do on here, so I just won't. I don't think that one's ever given me a virus, but I don't know if I entirely trust it. All right, so what we'll go ahead and do is we'll try and do like a very basic walk cycle. So for that, we'll just make a very lovely stick man. So we don't need to be advanced here. So you know what? That's already bad proportions. I don't know. We'll just so we'll just give them a few little limbs here and there. They probably like having arms and legs. So you can just do something very simple like that just to start out with. And then we'll go to our next frame. And we'll ignore this over here. He's just flashing in and out of existence. He'll be fine. And then from there, I could have sworn it's already an onion skin on by default. Hang on. Is that not a default feature? Or maybe I turned that off by accident. Sorry, my bad. I messed around here a bit too many times. Oh, wait, there it is. All right, here's onion skin. So when you have that on, you can see what you drew in the last frame. So let's say we want to start getting him to walk a little bit. So we're going to get like one leg going a little like that, lift one up. So we'll move their arms around a little, change up their head a bit. Go to the next frame. We'll do that sort of thing again. Kind of just do little incremental improvements. This is probably going to look a little weird, so I'm just doing this based off memory. We'll at least get something going here. So you just work with the onion skin to see what you've done in the previous frame. So again, this is all just going to be very crude. But oh, that's okay. That's body's kind of broken. So we'll get like one leg going out like that. Nope, hang on. Okay, those arms are still messed up. I probably should not have done this just straight from memory. All right. Then we'll get them going back down a little. And they'll ease that up a little bit. So you're just trying to get the sort of flow, or like the walk cycle going there. And you can always add a little bit of like head bop just so there's a little bit more, I guess, movement there. So I'm just sort of doing the arms, however. You probably want to do actual finessing for that. And there. Nope, okay. All right, you know what? That's something. Let's just get a look at generally how this is looking. That's not very good at all. But it's more of, well, that's also, yeah, I probably should have actually tried to follow along a little better. But I just slowed it down a little bit. Hopefully you get like a sort of idea what you want to do there. Where it's just more, you're just trying to use those onion skins to try and get an idea what you did in the last frame, then go from there. Yeah, I will say, I've done better in my past. This one's not a very good looking one. So you probably want to look at a reference in the future.
Basically, look at sprites from any old video game. That will give you a good idea of how it should be done.
Yeah. Trying to freeform it might be a little difficult, as you can just see there. I'll at least try and fix it a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and just remove his head here. Oh, that's not the right tool. Yeah, we'll fix it up a little bit. Since I think part of the issue was his head was getting a little too big there as well. So there. Okay. And I think also part of the issue is you got to make sure these legs just line up a little bit more. So we'll just go ahead and do a little like that. And we'll just do one more frame of in between. All right, let's see if we can just fix this just a little bit enough that it looks okay. And we probably actually want to get rid, let's see. So we want to make sure like it looks like a genuine loop. So in this case, it's like we compared this to our first frame, and we kind of realized, at least if we want to be going to a loop, them starting from straight up standing won't really work right there. So we could interpolate in between, or we could just simply say goodbye to him standing. So he can no longer just stand, he's only perpetually walking. Let's see if that helps. It's a little bit better. His head is still doing something there. I'll just leave that like that. It's a little bit better now. He can sort of walk. It's just a little funny. All right. But so were you guys already at all like familiar with the pixel art and all that work and like animation and all that? Okay. So
Yeah,
I
I've
guess,
done that sort of thing before.
yeah. So I guess this was mostly just something for you just to kind of laugh at in terms of how bad that was.
I didn't know about the little shading and thing you did there.
Oh, that's just the onion skin thing.
Yeah, I've never. Yeah, so I did the animations, had like the other one. I'm like, all right, this is a little different. And plus, my little flame spirit guy wasn't that complicated.
So have you not had onion skin whenever you've made these before?
Oh no, I didn't even know this thing.
Gotcha. Did you work in Pascal or did you work in a different tool?
Yeah, I worked on this.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, then for your reference, it's this little thing over here. So that's what I was trying to find before. You can use that. And I believe from what I saw, you can change the no, wait, what is that opacity then? Oh, okay, that's just for ordinary layers. So I'm not really sure there's a way to change that opacity, but that just stays there. There's a few other tools here, but those are just like ordinary pixel art tools, which we don't really need to dive into. So if you guys at least feel pretty okay doing pixel art, I'll just move on to the next animation tool. You guys good with that?
Yeah.
All right. This one at least I'll have a bit more of an understanding of. All right. So we'll go to the next one for pivot animation.
Oh, I recognize that. Yeah, it's kind of almost a little too like more old school at this point. You don't see as much anymore since it was more of a thing on YouTube. But it's sort of similar to like when Duncan showed on last week with like 3D animation. So not quite the same since most of his work in terms of like positions and rotations and some effects. Whereas for all 3D animation, you'd be working with like characters that have rigs and the like, and this is much more similar to that. So I'll go ahead and boot up Pivot. If you want to try and follow along, Pivot is free to get, at least since last I checked. And I don't think they give you any viruses still. I don't know. They might want to. So when you open up Pivot or something similar, you'll usually start with this little guy, at least if it's Pivot. And they have all these little dots on them for the parts where they pivot together. So you can move them all around there. You can't like separate out those parts, at least not from just like dragging them. And this orange one right here is for actually dragging the whole thing around, whereas only the orange ones are just for moving it around itself. So let's say we want to try and do that walk cycle in here, which should turn out a little easier. So I'll first go ahead and position the guy a little bit like he's in the middle of walking. So I'll go ahead and get him like this. Whenever you have it ready to start, you're going to do add frame. That'll be for your first frame there. Now we're on our second frame. And when I move this similar to in pixel art, there's an onion skin behind it. So that way you get an idea of what you're working with. So we're going to go ahead and just adjust them just a little bit. All right. So we're just going to slowly ease that over, similar to how we were trying to do before. There we go. Then we keep adding frames increment on that. And sort of trying to move the arms along as well while he's doing this, just to give a little bit more of an effect. All right, then at this point, it should be pretty much vertical there as he's about to step forward that one. Then he'll lift up this foot, put that one back down. And we'll move out those arms. Let me make sure the arms are right. So this one also might be a little bit easier just to go back and forth since you can watch those onion frames like that. All right. Oh, whoops, I should have added that as a frame before. So we're just going to move those out there. All right, so we're going to turn down the frame rate just so we can see what's going on. The frame rate you can handle over here at the slider. So I'm turning it all the way down to like 6.7. We'll do play. So that at least should look a little more natural than what I managed to do in pixel art. And in general, I feel like you can get stuff done a lot easier in Pivot since there's an easier onion frame to work with, I feel like. Whenever you're moving stuff around, they're all like restricted to each other, so it's hard to really mess up where your proportions are. But that does also mean you do have that drawback where if you're like with pixel art, you can be a lot more unique in how you do stuff. So let's say you want to be like sort of like older cartoons, then like making it so like it scales a little bit of how it's moving and the like. You can't really do this much with Pivot, or at least you sort of can. It's just much harder to do, so you can't just draw a little bit and bam, you're done. So you have a lot more restrictions to work with there. But I'd definitely say at least if you're just trying to get something simple done like that, pivot's an easier way to go. But it also means you need to figure out how to actually make your own figures for this. So let's say we want to make a new person. So we can open up this little pencil tool here. It gives us like a base sort of guy. And we could just mess around in here. We could say we don't want to give you an arm anymore, so no more arms for you. So this guy's lost his arms. But let's say we want to make it so he has like something on his feet, for instance. Then we could just go here, do add line. We go from his like one of the points on there and just drag and drop. Well, I guess drag and click really. Similarly, if I wanted like a circle somewhere. So let's say I want to sort of do it for like I'm going to do like a little hat on him. So I'll do like sort of like this. And then if I want to like fill it in, I can just click this little button, or I could just do it again to make it so there's no fill, or do it one more time to fill it in with white. So I'll just do it this way. I'll just give him like a little cap here. I'll finish giving him like sort of little feet. And if you don't like say like the width of some of your parts on him, you can click on a part, and you could use these arrows here to make them bigger or smaller. So this poor guy is going to look very weird, but you know, we don't need this guy to have arms. He can have feet. One of them's a little bigger than the others, but he'll live his life. He'll be fine. And then whenever you're done with the little guy you've made, you could save him and stuff, or you can also add him directly to your animation. So I'm just going to name him Weird Guy. And just like that, he's now in the animation. Like before, I can move him around and all that. He has this little central point here. I can move him about. You can mess with all the little parts of him. But of course, you have some little parts where it's like, say if I try to do that hat like how I did before, now that the parts of the hat don't entirely move together, so I'd have to make sure I move them separately to work right. But it's sort of something you can do. At least it's another tool I feel like is interesting to have under your belt for using. But I would know, at least if you want to use it for game development, I feel like it's a bit easier to use more for like say like cutscenes and the like rather than your actual characters. Since what you can do your characters, they'd have to be exclusively like this sort of stuff where they all pivot together. Otherwise, you might as well just be doing like pixel art or something similar. And this background here can be a little bit of an issue to work with. There are ways to get rid of it. In fact, you could always just do like Photoshop to get rid of the white background after you export it. But I'll show you real quick. If you want to export it, you just go here. So you can do like documents or whatever. You can choose a few formats. It's like GIF or AVI video. So depending on whatever you're using it for, GIF might be easier if you're just doing something very quick you can control the timing for. But AVI works if you just want to make sure you have the video itself to work with. And separate images is also good if you're trying to use it as like an actual sprite sheet for your game. But yeah, that's just a very quick overview of Pivot. So I'll just leave those guys to the void. All right. Then I'll switch on back here. And then, ooh, this slide looks a little weird. So lastly, I'll also just try and give a quick overview of how to actually implement your animations. So it depends heavily it depends a bit depending on like the game engine you're using, but most of them have like a similar sort of way. So I'll just show real quickly with Godot. And I think we sort of covered it like briefly before, but I'll just show it again. So let's see, I'll just open like a random thing. Let's go to the 2D shooter tutorial. So I'll just open this up. If you have any of your own project, you can just open it up as well, and you can follow along if you just want to make sure you understand. But you don't really need to. This is just to give like a very brief idea of how you actually do it. So let's see. I don't think I actually did it in this one. All right. So I'm just going to make just a quick little animation. So what you would need is there's a few tools. Actually, you can see them right here. You have animation player and you have animation tree. I'm going to add both to the scene just so I can show how both of them work. All right. So first we have animation player. This is the simplest one to work with. So you go ahead and you have your little animation down here that pops up. So you click this little button. You do like new, choose whatever you want to call it. So I'll just leave it as new animation. Wait. Yeah, okay, is that player? I thought this was player, is it not? Okay, that should be fine. Wait, no, why is that? That's a little different than I remembered. Okay, we'll just roll with that. I thought that worked a little differently, but apparently not. So animation player, we have our various properties here. So let's say we want to make it so like something like the node here moves around. So we can go to, we'll just do like a basic little property track. We'll just click that node. And let's say we just want to change its position around. So we got that node, we got its position. We'll do that. And we'll first have like a little keyframe. So let's see. Sorry, I thought this would be a little differently. I meant to open up a different thing first. All right, so let's go here. Transform. So first we have that open. We're going to just record that down as a keyframe. Then however many seconds we want afterwards, we'll change it around. So let's say we change it to 6. Then I don't know, how about 20, just so we get some sort of noticeable difference. We'll change it there. And we can also change the length for this. Yeah. So that should not be going for just 1 second. Why is it only trying to go for 1 second? That's usually not, oh, there it is. So we'll just up that to 5 seconds. So if he needs to increase the time, just go over here, change that. And we'll go back over there. So just mess around with those keyframes like how we did with Duncan before. So I'll change that to 20. Just a random little thing. And then similarly, we can go to our rotations. So we'll add that. Let's use Bezier curves. There. And then let's just, I don't know, mess around with that a little. There. All right. And similar like what Duncan did, that animates it inside the engine like that. So it's just a very simple way of doing that. All right. Then, okay, I'm going to swap out what I meant to do. I forgot animation tree is a whole different thing. I meant to do something else there, so I'll just show the other thing real quick. So really what I meant to show is animated sprite or something similar to that. So we'll take that. We'll go here. And if you want to add like little sprite frames, which is the typical way you'll do it for your 2D games, you'll just go to your little empty spot there, do new sprite frames if you want, make them from scratch, which case if you click it, you have them down here. And let's say you just want to add them from a sprite sheet, you have this little icon here, click that. We have, like I just have a bunch of these random stuff here, so I'll just use those real quick. It's not going to look good since this is not for animation, but we'll see what happens. So let's just choose, I don't know, we'll just choose this for instance. So, ooh, that does not want to zoom in. So we'll just roll with this being the sprite thing it's going to pick from. It's not going to be great, but you'll just do it randomly. Okay, you know what, that's maybe not a good idea. We'll actually sort of make it incremental. So you just click on the ones you want to be in there as the sprites. The numbers on there will be the order they'll be imported as. And you can mess around with like, say how many you'll have. So I can do like 5 of them each direction. I can change the sizing, so I can change those to 4. 4. Or what is actually, you know what, I'll need to check why that's being a little weird. I think that's just because it thinks there's a maximum size to this. But we'll just do it like that. And then whenever you import those, that should work for your animation itself there. All right. So that already just gets the animation itself playing if you have it imported like that. But we can mess around a little. You'd probably need to change the texture if you're doing pixel art to nearest. So that'd fix the little pixel issue there. You can change the frame duration over there, or you can just change the FPS if you want to. So you can make it really fast or just make it really short. You can put on autoplay if you want to make it so it does it when it loads in. And if you want to add in more animations, you got this little button here. It makes a new one. Similar thing to before, you can just go to a sprite. Let's say I just want to do these ones instead. I'll need to scroll in again. Similar to before, click or just drag them all in the order you want them. And that'll also work. And something you can do is you can also mess around the order they're in. So if you want to like move this one just around a little, you could just move it around like that. You could also use the arrows over here for it. Or let's say you just want to make it so for a while it just kind of like goes empty. You can do this. So these put it like in direction of whichever side. So we can just show that real quick. So when it gets over there, it just changes just straight to empty. But let's say instead of empty, you just want to make it so it just repeats the same frame just to make it last a little longer. Oh, that was my bad. I did not mean to get rid of the animated sprite itself. There we go. So we'll go to this one. And let's say we just want to make it last a little longer. The easier way is just to copy and paste it. So we'll just go on down here. So we can just paste it a few times. You can hold shift to move them around. And then we're just going to put them back over there. So if we want that one frame just to last a little bit longer, then we can just copy and paste them like that. And now it lasts a little longer. So that's just a very simple thing of what you can do in there. Most game engines have something similar to that works. And 3D animation is sort of similar. That gets just a little more complicated. So that would have to be its own thing. Right. But that was just the very quick one I had ready for you guys. I'm sorry. I did not have as much time as I hoped to actually get this little tutorial going.
I know what you meant for it. Yeah, I wouldn't have even had to do it. So that week.
Do you guys want me to go over anything in particular for this?
I'm not good at animating or drawing, so I
Uh,
don't plan on doing much with this. I've kind of just been getting the repo fixed. I fucked up the repo apparently.
oh,
It like didn't have to be noticing or couldn't find it, so I had to like change it.
well, I'll go ahead and end the little live stream there since that was that very sad looking tutorial. So sorry for the guys watching this on YouTube if anyone ever does.